Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Big muscle, let's get it. Let's get straight into it. Now, what we're going to do today is airbrush a denim type Converse All Star. The All Star Converse denim type. We're going to use the airbrush and we're going to paint on it this Jamaican flag in the form of a butterfly. Along with, we're going to do the lace holes. And that's about it. Now, to do this project does not require a lot of tools. Only complex thing I would say there would be the airbrush, and I'm using a grex airbrush as an FYI. I found it to be a very good tool, and it can make fine lines and stuff like that. So the other stuff we use in this video, I got, as you can see, my pencil, and it could be any pencil, a notepad or a sketch paper to draw your patterns on. I have an eraser and the Converse, of course, both foot, and I got the green paint and the gold. Well, that's yellow, but the Jamaican flag is actually green, gold, and black. So the Converse is already black, so I don't need black paint, right? So wherever needs to be filled in with black, the shoe will do that itself. So it's a two pencil, one pencil doesn't matter, an eraser, I got the gold, green paint, and also I have a paintbrush or a few paintbrushes. Okay, so to start this project, so how I started this project, I saw something on the internet with this guy doing a lot of different types of artwork on shoe. And, you know, I have the tools to do the work. I'm an artist. And so let me try this Converse that I have. So the first thing I did was sketch the butterfly on a piece of notepad paper, as you can see. And then I folded the paper, printed the pattern, and then catch it on the opposite side, as you can see. That entire process is right there. All right, so once I sketched out the butterfly, then I moved on to the other areas that you will see coming up shortly. Now, this is the first shoe, period, that I'll be airbrushing or painting. And this is a test project, I would say, because it's my first time working on a project like this. And it turned out pretty decent, I think so. And I just made up stuff to put on it while I go. The main thing is the painting and just the artwork. So the paint is leather paint. It's made for leather, but of course I'm pretty sure it will work on denim if it works for leather. Now, most people airbrush or paint on leather shoes. I think you could paint on any shoes. As you can see in this, you will see in this video that I painted on this shoe and it worked out perfectly fine. Now, further down in the video, you're going to see some stuff, and we're going to get into that shortly. But I think painting shoes, doing leather work, as always, I do a lot of leather work, but painting shoes and shoe art is a thing that I'll probably be doing more of on the Air Force Ones and stuff like that. You know, maybe some Timberland, some type of shoes like that. I'll be doing some painting on, maybe airbrushing a few here and there. It's a nice artwork, and I'm into artwork. I'm into travel, adventure, stuff like that. You know, just freedom stuff that keep you occupied, just relaxing type stuff like this. So this Converse is a fully black Converse. Okay, there's no patterns, no anything on it other than the logos from the Converse All Star shoe brand. And this is I think it's a Chuck Taylor. Yeah, I think it's a Chuck Taylor Converse. But yeah, so what I noticed is that with the Super Bowl, Snoop Dogg wore his Converse and was dancing on the stage in the Super Bowl with his Converse on. So I figured I got a bunch of Converses. So let me just go ahead and see if I could get some artwork with the Super Bowl, plus this guy I saw online doing all this artwork on shoe. I was like, yeah, light bulb idea. Let's get to work and get some of this stuff done. right? And it's a very simple project. I think I did it in an hour and change, not very long, just a little bit over the length of this video. But I did everything, compiled the video so you could see exactly how I did all the steps on this. It's very simple, not complicated. All I did was draw this pattern, get the yellow, what you would call it, the yellow pencil markers, and drew the pattern onto the side of the Converse, and then just airbrushed it as best as I can. And then for the veins on the butterfly, I did some painting with a paintbrush on the butterfly, right? And I made stuff up as I go. So the only thing I really drew out was this butterfly. That's the only thing I really scratched on the paper. And then I colored it to see how it would look on the shoe. And of course, the gold or yellow and green sits perfect on the black. That's another thing that I love too. The color combination was perfect because that green from the Jamaican flag, also that gold, it sits perfect on a pair of black Converse, right? So that was like, okay, this is a good idea. So went ahead and did that. So after I sketched this out, and I'm not going to be talking this entire video, just so you know, I'm just giving you an update of what's coming up and how this video is, right? So after I sketched it out, I colored, put some color in on the sketch so I could, you know, get an insight at how it would look. Then I drew it onto the side of the shoe, which you will see further down in the video. Then I airbrushed it. After I airbrushed it, my last step would be to use that paintbrush, as an art paintbrush, very thin one, and paint some lines. And those were the butterfly veins. As you can see, I'm drawing the veins of the butterfly in the middle of the flag. Now that the Jamaican flag per se sitting in the butterfly, or a butterfly in the form of the Jamaican flag. So those veins you see me drawing right there, that's what I used the paintbrush for and nothing else. I didn't plan on doing it all the way with those veins. It just worked out. So at first I initially started to put some thin veins in the butterfly wing, but they didn't work. They weren't popping on the shoe per se. So what I did was use a little bit thicker paintbrush and apply those veins, and it came out beautiful work of art. Yeah, it did. So the Converse is a very simple shoe, very light shoe. A lot of people wear it, including myself. It's good for driving. I think when you're driving and you have a pair of Converses on, you know, it feels comfortable because it really fits to the form of your foot or your feet per se. You know, so that's one thing with a Converse that I like and enjoy. Converse All Star. It's been around for years. Okay. Right, so that's our butterfly. Yep, and with the Converse, you know, you don't necessarily, I never wear a Converse with a sock on. No sock. I just put my feet in the Converse and I'm gone. And this is an upper type Converse. We also got the lower Converses. You know, you just slide them on and that's pretty much it. Very to-go type shoes. Right, yep, so there I go, put the color in the end. And that's the gold from the Jamaican flag. I put that in there onto the butterfly. Okay. Not very technical. A DIY project you could do at home in an hour and change. And if you don't have an airbrush, you can always use your paintbrush to paint this pattern. You can always do this. The thing with the airbrush is the airbrush allows the paint to sit more between those, within the denim. It sits tighter in the denim per se because it, you know, it's forced air. So it's forcing between those fine grained particles or whatever of the denim of the shoe that make up the shoe. So that's one good thing. But it's nothing that you can't do at home in a short amount of time. So here goes the green on the Jamaican flag butterfly. So I apply the green pencil markers so I can get an insight of how it would look eventually. Okay, so now that I finished putting in the green, here goes the black. Put the black coloring in. Okay, so on the shoe, you don't have to use black coloring. Okay, because the shoe is already black. So you really don't need black coloring on the shoe. You could just leave it, just put the gold in, put the green on top, and it sits perfectly fine. I'm just using the marker so I can get an insight. I like to see how things will look before I actually do it. Okay, so now that I finished doing that coloring, I moved on and I use my yellow pencil marker, and it can be erased, and erase some of it because not everything was covered with the airbrush after the fact. So I erased a lot of it with an eraser. So it wasn't an issue using that yellow pencil marker to draw the butterfly onto the side of the shoe. And I don't think every marker is erasable. So if you're gonna do this using a marker, pencil marker, you should look for one that's erasable. Okay, so notice in this butterfly, it doesn't look exactly as what's on the paper, but that's not a big deal. You don't have to worry about that. Your paint is gonna do the job for you, you know. As an artist, you can use paint, manipulate it, and do it the way you want it to look. You cannot let paint control you. You control paint, whether it's an airbrush, pencil, marker, whatever you're using. You control the paint. And sometimes you can do something and it doesn't work out the way you plan it, but you can just turn it into something else as an artist. Okay, and that you're gonna see in this video, because if you look at this butterfly, it looks nothing close to what's on the paper. It really don't. But eventually I worked it out to where I got it to resemble the painting as close as possible, or the sketch as close as possible. So I put those small holes at the bottom of the butterfly and also on the top, just as a nice style. You know, I wanted it to be a part of the butterfly because I know it would pop and come out real nice once I'm done with the artwork with the airbrush. Okay, so here I go again. Now I'm gonna add this like stripe style to the front of the Converse. Now with this style, I planned on, okay, how am I gonna do this? I just wanted something catchy on the front per se. Nothing that I drew out on paper, it just came to me while I go along. And that's your art kicking in, your artwork kicking in. You're gonna, you know, your creative mind, so you create stuff as you go, right? Design stuff as you go. It's nothing complicated. You just go with stuff, right? So I always wanted to put a little catchy thing on the front. And that way, okay, so once you've seen those colors on the front, you'll be like, hey, that's unusual. Then that leads you into the butterfly, okay? And I also did it for the lace holes on the Converse also, because I wanted to pop looking at it from the front. So even if you don't see the style on the side of the Converse, you're gonna see it on the front. So what I did was I planned on putting the green at the bottom and the yellow on top, and then the black sits between. So you could get that Jamaican flag theme, right, with those three stripes right there. So I grabbed my airbrush and I just did that. Okay, was it the yellow I put down there? I think it was the green. But it looks like the yellow that's going down to the front right here. And then in the middle it's black, and then on top of that you got the green per se, which is not complicated. So you can adjust your airbrush. This airbrush is adjustable, so I adjusted it. It's the Grex airbrush. I adjusted it to how fine or thin I need my lines. And with the Grex airbrush, you can really adjust your lines extremely thin. All right, I think to almost to the size, just a little bit over the point of a pencil, a regular shortened pencil or something like that. So you can get very thin lines with it. All right, and this is a trigger operated airbrush. Yes. So where the paint is loaded in that fountain you see on top of the airbrush, that's where I load the paint. And when using an airbrush, it takes a lot less paint than when you take a lot less paint than when you paint with a brush per se, because it's forced air and it's going to the thickness of how you want it, or to the fine tune of how you want it. You know, now with a regular brush, if you're not very skillful with paint and a regular brush, you could use some areas have a lot more paint than others, and it's very uneven in the application to the denim or whatever material you're using per se. Okay, so here we go now. We're moving into the butterfly, and we're getting that yellow cross per se, or that yellow X from the Jamaican flag onto the butterfly, starting right there in the top right wing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so after we got the X, we moved along to get our little dots with that yellow slash gold color right in line per se with the X. And further on, you're gonna see where I put the green dots also. So it's like a color combination of the green and yellow dots that I put on this Converse. And it's a very fun project. First one, very fun. And I'm gonna do another Converse pretty soon. I'm also gonna be doing some Air Force Ones. So stick around for that. And if it's your first time running into this channel, this is not the only thing we do over here. We travel a lot and we do a lot of leather work, which is getting better with time. Okay, so there's a lot of areas that I venture into continental United States, and you can browse the channel to see some of those areas. Some very rare footage of places that's not even seen on the travel channel, I would say, or even on the TV, nowhere. You know, but because I pass those areas from time to time, I just go ahead and get recorded footage of those areas so people could see what's in certain places. An example would be in Utah, Alabama. So that's just one thing. Now back to this Converse. Now I think what we're doing here is applying the green paint. Is it? Yes, we are. So we apply the green paint to the rest of the upper section right there, because that's how the Jamaican flag is. So there is green at the top, green at the bottom, the X, and then black to the side, left and right. All right, so we're not gonna put any black paint. We're just using that gold slash yellow and green. That's about it. Okay, so here's where we put our green, we airbrush the green paint. Okay, so that gives you that impression on the front with that green, black in the middle, and also that gold at the end. All right, so looking straight from the front of the Converse, you'll see that. Okay, so right at this point is when an idea popped in my head. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and do these IOs on this Converse. So I went ahead and sprayed that green every other hole because I said, okay, let me do a combination color. So I'm gonna put green every other hole, and then I'm gonna put that gold every other hole, and do the opposite thing on the other side of the Converse, and also same thing for the next foot of the shoe. All right. So it's a nice mismatch and combination of gold and green blending in with that black. Now what I realize is that with this shoe, laces are going to be in and out. So that this is metal. It's metal that I'm spraying the green on. So because it's metal and this paint is leather paint, of course, the shoelaces are going to rub off this paint without a doubt, or at least some of it. So what I did was I started to still go around those the holes, but I kind of spread the paint out a little bit past the holes, past the shoelace holes. Yeah, I spread the paint out around it because what happens is, so when the shoe is being worn, the laces are going in and out from time to time. You can rub off what's on the metal, but you won't be able to rub away what's in the denim. All that paint that's in the denim, that won't go away. So you'll still have that green impression around the high of the shoe where you put the shoelace at. Okay, so that's when I started to do that. As you can see right there, I started to spread the paint out a little bit past the eye of the shoelace holes. right? Spread the paint out. So if the shoelace, not if, when, it's gonna rub off that green and yellow gold paint, but it won't be able to rub it out of the denim because that's seated in the material right there. Okay, so if you look, you notice the paint is spread out past the eye of the holes. Okay, just probably a few millimeters out, probably 2-3 millimeters out away from the eye of the holes. I spread it out so it will forever be there. So when the paint is worn off, because it's not metal paint, it's leather paint, it's going to be worn away. When it's worn away, you'll still have those that green impression around the shoe eye, which is pretty dope if you ask me. Okay, so another idea popped in my head. What is it, you ask? Okay, so the idea is put in a green paint around that Converse logo. Okay, so this Chuck Taylor Converse All Star logo. I'm gonna put green paint. I put green paint around this one. Then for the opposite shoe, for the other shoe, I put yellow, and you'll see that coming up pretty soon. I'll just put some yellow around the other foot of the shoe. That gold yellow color, right? So each foot has two different color around the Converse All Star logo, and that's on the inside of the shoe. Per se, where your instep is. And also those air holes, I also painted those too. The air holes on the instep of the shoe, I did those also. Did one green and the other gold. And you'll see that coming up pretty soon. Okay, so I started to apply the yellow gold paint around the every other hole. Okay, every other lace hole, I put the gold. As is, I did with the green paint. Same thing coming all the way down. And that gives you that nice blend of the black, gold, and green. That represents the Jamaican flag. All right, so all those markings that were left from that pencil marker, I just erased it off the shoe, as you can see. So there you have the Converse looking nice, bright, shine, new. It's not a new Converse. I've had it for a second. Okay, so there I go, erasing the other part with the eraser. All right, so this is the interesting part where I started to paint the veins of the butterfly with that thin line, which wasn't showing anything. It wasn't popping. It wasn't very, you weren't seeing anything. So that's when I decided to switch out that paintbrush and get me a little bit thicker paintbrush where I can actually see the veins popping. Okay, so here you go. All right, so now you can see the veins. All right, and this is no special style or design. You just go with the flow and generally figure things out as you go. It's a part of doing artwork. Okay, so I decided that I'm gonna put some in the front also on that yellow paint and that gold paint. I think it would look really nice. It turned out pretty nice as a style. All right, and what I did, I brought that paint all the way, that black paint that I'm using right now, I brought it all the way to the black of the shoe. So it just flushes in with the black of the shoe. So that gives you that illusion as if it's like the black was just sitting there the whole time. All right, or if the yellow was something that you sprayed over, like the designer pattern. So I drew my brush all the way out, so it cut off all those ends of the yellow. Okay, so now the idea popped in my head. I decided that I'm gonna make this color around the All Star logo kind of like a wheel color. All right. So I just jotted some line on the four corners and then did the four other corners after that. So we ended up with 8 lines around this Converse logo. And I did it on each foot of the Converse. So it turned out pretty nice. Nice style, I would say. All right, so this is our finished product, and I put the laces in the shoe. Okay, looking at it, here's our butterfly. Yes, sir. So I put the laces in, and you can see how that yellow and green or golden green came out popping right at the laces, and the butterflies popping on the side, and that style to the front right there on the little toe area is popping. The butterfly veins came out perfect also over the pinky toe area, and also the butterfly veins in the butterfly to the back of the shoe on the heel, those came out striking and stunning also. This is the first one I did. It really shocked me. Anyways, remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell. We got Air Force Ones coming up, more Converses, more traveling, more leather works, more belts, more wallets. Next time,